Silence keeps clouding me, hand on my heart, and I wish time no matter.
This one is so common, I wish a man would try to deny it. Men end up getting daughters and all of a sudden all boys and all men are the op. You end up taking up that same narrative that you telling women that they doing. Them boys ain't shit. All they want is one thing from you. All you gonna do is play games and play with your heart. Now you need to have your own. Don't let no little boy take care of you. Don't act like we ain't participate. And don't get me wrong, it's for good reason. But at the same time, the unintended result is what you're getting right now. Be careful who you point the finger at.
There are some women on their periods capable of acting cool and calm at work, yet behave irritable at home around her loved ones.
Well, that's kind of a tough question because like you have to act nice and like professional in the workplace or else you're labeled as a bitch. So then once you get home and you can kind of put down that wall.
But doesn't that prove that women are capable of controlling their emotions?
Yeah, but when you're at home in your own thing, like it should be whatever.
Even around the people that you love, that you should be nice to and respect?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's all love. You guys can come back together.
Why is it considered rude to ask a woman her age or her weight?
Oh, it's just something you just don't ask a woman.
But what's the reason?
I think it has a lot to do with women don't like to feel old or look old or care about their age at a certain point, so they'd rather not be asked any questions.
Why do women tend to obsess over these issues, and what does that say about her deeper sense of self-worth?
What do you mean?
Well, you want to just ask?
Women happen. You understand that? Women take your focus away. Why you think some of these guys ain't never get to their full potential in the pros, in the NBA, and the NFL? Because they didn't put the work in. Why? Because they were chasing tail. Women are very distracting. They will pull you away from your goal. If you are serious about improving your life, improving your body, sometimes you may need to take a complete break. It's okay, guys. It's okay. I promise you, you'll live. I lived. I went without booty for a while, and I'm still here to live to tell a story about it. I know that shocks the shit out of you that you might live if you don't have sex every fucking week. But guys, sometimes sacrifices have to be made if you have a goal in mind to get
shit test from my own personal experience. There was a woman that I went out on a few dates with a couple years ago. We knew each other from a class and she was texting me. So I said to her, when you free, let's go grab a drink. She took 2 days to get back to me. Today, I wouldn't even respond to it. But back then, I was still figuring things out and I was getting more experience from where I used to be in my life. I responded back to her and said, on that day when she's free, let's grab drinks at a location and a time. On the day of the date, she sends me a message saying, I might be an extra half an hour behind. I didn't anticipate this date would go through. So I actually made plans to go watch an improv show. The show ended, I was about to go home, and I actually got a text from her saying, hey, I'm on my way to the bar. Well, I took my time, I walked down the street, I get in there. That was a test. She wanted to see if I would comply with it. In that case, I shouldn't have told her that I was okay with the 30-minute difference. At the end of the date, I went in for the kiss and she pulled away. When she backed away, I just looked at her and I laughed. I'm gonna live either way without it. I can get another girl another day. It's not a big deal. I didn't walk her home. I just got in my car and left after I politely said goodnight.
If you are interested in a girl, but she says, let's just be friends, tell her, no, I don't want to be just friends. Entering a friendship with someone that you are attracted to is a very bad idea. It's going to destroy you mentally. And you're just deluding yourself because she's not going to flip around and suddenly find you attractive anyway. And even if by some miracle over the years, you do end up in a romantic relationship with her because she decides to settle down out of lack of options for you, the nice guy, you are entering a relationship that you shouldn't want to be in because she had no initial attraction to you. This is a very, very unhealthy basis for a relationship. She will probably never really respect you as a man, and you will probably always see her as better than yourself. You deserve better than that. Have the guts to tell her no.
I want to say this as clearly as possible. This mindset
is the problem. This is the equivalent energy of two children pointing fingers at each other, crying to mommy and daddy about what's fair and what's not fair. And that might unironically be where it all started. And the path of least resistance is the most traveled. I get it. But you do not get to lead in your relationships if you are not a leader. Imagine if Kobe Bryant in high school looked around and said, hey, nobody else is practicing like me, so until they practice like me, I'm not going to practice. That is how lame some of y'all are sounding. So if you are blaming what you're not doing on what other people are not doing, stop complaining that you're not finding success. So to all the men out there, if you want to lead, then lead. Stand for your principles regardless of what anyone else does. And if you can't handle that responsibility, then submit.
If someone breaks up with you with the intention of testing you to see if you love them or not, or if you'll stick with them, this is how you handle that situation. First, understand that either they don't care about you or love you, or they're a narcissist. The reason that they don't love you or care about you or they're a narcissist is because they are intentionally inflicting emotional pain onto you because of their own insecurities. Now, you may have been a cause or a factor in those insecurities, depending on how long you've been dating, but most likely not. Most people will bring insecurities and bad behaviors from past relationships or behind in their life. Let me give you some numbers real quick. If you're both 30 years old and you've been dating for 6 months, you have only known that person and they've only known you for 1.5% of your entire life, which means you don't really know that person. So if you're in an early relationship and this happens, the behavior and insecurities is most likely theirs and something from their past, which is not your responsibility. People that bring insecurities and drama into already established relationships should handle their stuff and get it lined out before they do. Now, side note, if you want to test if somebody's a narcissist and they do this, what you do is essentially ignore them, because narcissists are vampires, succubuses, and sirens. So what they will do is they feed off of energy and emotions. And if they're leaving you, they're causing an emotional spike and high to get you to react, because that's what they feed off of. And if you don't respond, if you ignore them, then they're going to flip out and become super emotional. If you want to spot a narcissist, don't pay attention to what somebody does. Pay attention to your emotions. Pay attention to how they're making you feel day in and day out, because a narcissist feeds off of a volatility of emotions. Now, as far as number 3 and what you should do and how you should handle this situation is you should break up with them. Fortunately, they already broke up with you, so you don't have to do anything. Just continue going on about your life and build your life into a freight train. People can get on, people can get off, but the train doesn't stop. And know your worth, know your value.
Don't do what?
Go to girls' nights out. So, I mean, you can go to, let me be very specific.
But that's not a good example, because what is the problem when we going out with my friends? Please explain that.
It's you putting yourself in a position to be hit on. So that means
you have no confidence.
No, it's not about confidence.
Yes,
See,
it is.
Here comes the shaming tactics.
If I'm your female, what is the problem with me going with my friends? You don't trust me, or you don't have confidence.
Or
one or two with men.
So if a guy says, hey, I don't want you, I don't know, being a stripper, being a whatever, anything that has to deal with a lot of options coming to you and a lot of people, a lot of men coming to you, how is that insecure, the names that you just named?
Okay, that's a totally different question.
No, even I'm just adding that with that.
Instance.
Yeah.
And that goes a lot of different ways. If you met this girl and she was a stripper already.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Then how can you tell her you don't want her to be a stripper? Yes, you
most guys will.
No. And I've been through that.
Yeah, most guys will.
I've been through that. You can say that, oh, I don't want this, I don't want, but are you gonna hold my weight?
Are you a nice guy or are you a bad boy? Nice guys get walked over all the time. And bad boys, they seem to get the girl. Do you really want to be that person? Do you really want to treat women like shit because you've been jaded from your heart being broken for all the years? I get it. You got trust issues. Not everyone's perfect. But there has to be a better way. Being yourself, speaking your truth, and walking your path. Now, nice guys, they're no challenge to women. All they do is get walked over because they're giving everything they can. They put the woman first before themselves. Bad boys put themselves first before women. Problem is that they're always chasing one woman to another, and they treat people like shit. This brings out more toxicity in the relationship between men and women. I don't advocate for that. Some people are going to be fucking broken, and that's just life. You want to find someone who's going to be like you, who has goals, dreams, and desires, and wants to be your teammate. Maybe you'll be in a relationship, maybe you'll just date them for a little while. The important thing is that everyone who comes into your life leaves a lasting impact, and vice versa.
I never said women shouldn't run for public office.
Yes, you have. You've said that
If we're talking
before.
about 50% of the population, generally out of this 250 million people or 150 million people, most women are happier at home. They are pretending that they like working, and they're not making money because they don't stay all night at the office. They don't go the extra mile. They don't work all weekend. You're making a mistake. You would be much happier at home with a husband and children.
Oh boy. Oh.
I mean, I'm literally.
You just said you're single. You don't have a boyfriend. You're
That's
you're celibate.
my choice.
Yeah, look, you're miserable. You would be so much happier with kids around you tonight. Imagine coming home, mommy's home.
You know what, Gavin? You're not funny. You're not what you do not do anything.
I'm trying to make you happy.
You do not do anything for the better. Sean, this isn't funny.
Feminism has made women miserable. Women were much happier when housewives were glorified.
Guess what? I had a